Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today I decided to stir the pot. Just kidding. Well, not really. Today I want to start a discussion or debate on broker transparency. So first I'm going to tell you what actually prompted this video. And then I'm going to go into a metacognitive session, if you will, where I'm going to tell you my spiel on broker transparency. Don't hate me. This is just me working through my thought process. Ready? Let's go. So before we start, a very quick announcement. I finally released the course on trucking business planning and management. And at the end of this video, I'm going to have a small intro video to the course. If you're interested, feel free to watch till the end. If not, no stress. Now let's get into broker transparency. So we all know about broker transparency, but my curiosity really piqued after reading what happened at the Mid-America Trucking Show when Kevin Rutherford, I think that's how you pronounce his name, had a heated debate on broker transparency. Now, for those of you who are not familiar who this gentleman is, well, he started as an owner-operator, one man, one truck in the 80s, and now he teaches truckers on how to be successful. Now, he's not a broker, but he's very much against broker transparency. Mr. Rutherford, and I quote, preaches a radical kind of personal ownership over all things business. And his followers don't think brokers being forced to disclose their rates would really help trucking, and indeed warned that it could backfire on carriers, ushering a race to the bottom on rates. So long story short, Rutherford had an in-person debate with Dakota Springfields, who is the one who found out that TQL took a 44% margin on a load she hauled. So what were the arguments? Well, Kevin said, and I quote, if someone says they're not succeeding in business and the reason for this is it's not me, then you're wrong. If you're saying I'm not doing good because the rates are bad, then get out of business because the rates are always bad. If you're saying I'm not doing well because the brokers are ripping me off, then get out of business. I make it my responsibility to succeed, he said. I know a lot of people in this business are always suffering, never happy, and it's always someone else's fault. Now I'm seeing the attitude of, I bought a truck, I'm entitled to a profit. Just get the hell out of business. These are his thoughts. So he is really of the opinion that you are to take complete responsibility for how your business is doing. That's fair. But then Springfield explained that she received 56% of the load that she hauled for TQL. And if she was ripped off by a broker by that much, there are also other brokers who are taking even more. Okay, so we know that this guy is against broker transparency, but according to a survey done through Overdrive, 73% of carriers are very much for broker transparency. But I do have to give credit where credit is due, and Mr. Rutherford does ask an interesting question on his Twitter account, or X. If we could see the rate the broker received and then see that it wasn't moving and being offered at a loss, would owner-operators offer to pay more? Now, how do brokers actually record a loss on a load? Well, one guy responded to this post and said, I've absolutely lost money on loads. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. The last time was 2 weeks ago. I work heavily in the spot market. My quotes need to be fast and competitive. What I don't do is go back to my customer for more money after I failed to quote a lane properly. I eat that. I was actually surprised to read this comment because I remember several times when a broker would offer a low rate to me and I'd be like, dude, I'm not gonna haul it for that much. And then they would say, yeah, it was my bad. I definitely underquoted this with my customer. All right, now it's time for my spiel and I'm literally going to be rambling. It's, as I said, a metacognitive session, so please do not get stuck on any one of my thoughts. I'm sharing my thought process, which goes back and forth constantly, and I kind of argue with myself. So why do I care about broker transparency? Well, the first answer that pops into my head is because brokers take astronomical margins. But then I have to wonder, do all brokers take astronomical margins? Well, probably not, but I am judging the industry by the outliers. And we have seen that brokers can take up to 70% if you've watched my video on the blame game. But again, why do I care about broker margins at all? Shouldn't I be focusing on whether the offered rate is actually profitable for me and my business? Do I really care if a broker is making 40% off the load and my 60% is bringing me a profit? Well, no, not really. But then again, yeah, I do. Because why would a broker make 40% off a load when my company, my drivers have all the liability, all the risk, 99% of the cost and 99% of the work? It's simply not fair. But then again, we're talking about business and a free market. So how can I even say fair, not fair? This is business. This is not a soap opera. And come to think of it, when I go to a store to buy a carton of eggs, I don't ask the store what they bought that carton of eggs for and what their markup is. If I don't like the price of a dozen eggs at Whole Foods, I go to Smart & Final because there the eggs are cheaper. I never ask the store about its margins. I just make a choice to shop at a different store. So using this logic, if I don't like one broker's rates, why shouldn't I just move on to a different broker? Well, because unlike eggs, which are available pretty much in every store, load volumes and lanes are pretty scarce. And for the most part, I'm seeing brokers band together. I'm sure you have seen it as well, where one broker posts a lane and he or she pays more or less okay, and then 10 other brokers post a very similar lane paying much less, and that first broker adjusts his or her rate to match the rate of those 10 cheap brokers. So they are trying to make money off my back. But then again, isn't that what business is all about? We all try to make as big of a profit as possible, and if we can get away with it, we will. I mean, I'm thinking of 2021. Wasn't I the one bidding way above what I actually needed? You can see those YouTube videos. I made YouTube videos booking loads in 2021. And yeah, of course I did. I didn't care about sticking to the minimum profits. I got as much as I could out of each load because I could do that. But now I'm angry at brokers for trying to do the same thing. But again, it goes back to risk, cost, and amount of work. My side of the industry is the one that's stuck with the crazy amount of risk, the crazy costs, and the crazy amount of work. So what would broker transparency do for me? Well, it would let me know what the broker is actually making. But again, do I care about what the broker is actually making as long as I am profitable? Well, no, I don't really care about what the broker makes, but I still want to see their margins and I want to see what the shipper pays so that I know exactly what the market pays so that I can negotiate based on realistic rates. But wait a minute, if I don't already know what I need to negotiate the loads up to in order to make a profit, doesn't that mean that I am kind of rolling in the dark and I don't know my own numbers? Shouldn't I already know exactly what rates would make me profitable? Well, yeah, but then again, it goes back to it being unfair and I want to make as big of a profit as possible. And I want to see if a shipper is paying $5,000 on that 1,500 mile load so that I know whether I have to agree to the $4,000 max that the broker is paying or whether I have the $1,000 wiggle room. So is it just about my profits or could it be also a bigger picture? Isn't the broker kind of screwing over both the carrier as well as his or her customer when they take on such big margins and quote bigger rates to be able to pocket more? And doesn't that drive the cost of everything up when the shipper pays more and the carrier is still left with hauling these loads for pennies, relatively speaking? And when the cost of everything increases, doesn't that in turn affect the economy and the economy in turn affect the trucking industry? The reality is this whole process of trying to argue with myself back and forth about broker transparency really forces me to think whether I'm so against broker transparency because I believe there is a fundamental problem in the industry, or does it all boil down to fair and not fair in this poker game we call trucking? Now, there's no denying that on the trucking side, we do get the short end of the stick, so to speak, because we do have all the risk and we have all the costs and we have the majority of work, and it's very unpleasant to find out that someone who has almost no risk, very small costs, and this person has to just click a couple of buttons, make a couple of phone calls, and they make the same amount while sitting in a comfy chair in a very nice office. But again, then this goes back to it's unfair or it's unethical. Now, the fact that I'm for broker transparency is something that's not new. Everybody on this channel who has watched my videos for a while know that I am for broker transparency. But if you ask me why I am for broker transparency, it will all boil down to one very simple statement. The money that the two parties, the carriers and brokers, earn is not proportional to the risk each party assumes. That's all there is to it. Now it is your turn, and I would be extremely grateful to you guys if you shared your thoughts and discussions on this topic. I'm very curious to hear what you think broker transparency would do for our industry, why you are fighting for it, and why brokers are against it, and if there are any bigger implications that you foresee. I shared with you my thought process, which was honestly not an easy thing to do. I do feel a little bit vulnerable at the moment, but I do hope that I can hear your thought process as well. Anyway, guys, as I said in the beginning of the video, after this, there's going to be an intro to my new trucking business management and planning course. If you're interested, keep watching. If not, skip over, and I will see you in the next video. So I know things have not been easy over the past 2 years, and we're all looking for ways to survive these bad times. Trust me, I'm in the same boat as you guys, and this is why I agreed to make this course. After 2 years of consistent battery from every single side of the market, 2 years of consistently trying to predict the market and deal with very challenging times, and most importantly, survive, I decided it's time to share what I have learned. So those of you who know me from YouTube, you know that I teach from experience, and this course is no different. So everything that you hear in this course is tested by yours truly. Now, is it going to be a magic wand that magically makes you profitable? Well, unfortunately, I do not believe that magic exists. However, this course is designed to give you the best chance of survival, not just in this challenging market, but in the future as well. Not only that, but the knowledge that I share in this course is going to prepare you for anything the market decides to throw your way. So, question, what does this course actually teach? Well, think of it as an upside-down pyramid. First, we're going to look at the big picture items to see how the trucking industry in the US is affected by the broadest happenings all over the world. That section is going to help you analyze how all these events that are happening all over the place are going to have an effect on the trucking industry in the US, both in the near future and the not so near future. Then we'll get more specific and we'll look at how to analyze macro data by trailer type for flatbeds, reefers, and dry vans. What actually affects the supply as well as the demand side for these three equipment types? And most importantly, where can you find that data to continuously give yourself an opportunity to make educated predictions about what will happen next? Then we'll go even more specific. What affects only the trucking industry? What are freight cycles? What is seasonality, and how does it affect the different types of equipment in trucking? How does freight end up on the spot market? How do contract carriers affect spot market carriers? And how do you analyze load to truck ratios? And finally, we're going to look at granular management, and this applies specifically to your company. How do you write a business plan? How do you hire and, most importantly, retain drivers? What strategies do you use to book loads out of the most difficult markets? How do you deal with current issues like scams, double brokering, non-payment, and claims? And then we will take a microscope and we'll go through financial management, cost per mile, managing expenses, profit and loss statement, statements of cash flows, key performance indicators, analyzing your company's numbers, and finally creating monthly reports. Now, I also decided to include an Airtable section, a very detailed one, in this course so that you can better organize your company. And finally, there is a section for student requested lessons, something that I haven't done in any of my courses. This section is intended to hold lessons created based on student requests. And since this course is a lifetime access, your course will just get more detailed over time. And the best part, you don't have to pay anything extra. So if you're ready to learn, I am definitely ready to teach what I have learned. I hope to see you in the first lesson.